Hello, beautiful people of the internet. How are you doing today? My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today in this video, I want to discuss another theory about Game of Thrones. However, today I'm talking about a theory that I personally don't believe. I do think there are certain arguments you can make for this theory. However, I personally don't believe in it, and that's what I want to talk about today in this video. This is a theory that has recently been regaining popularity, and this is the theory that Gendry is secretly the legitimate son of Cersei Lannister and Robert Baratheon. If you watched my video, 5 crazy Game of Thrones theories that I personally don't believe, some of these points in this video will sound familiar to you because I addressed this theory in that video. However, one, that video was filmed on my laptop and it has crappy quality, so I do not recommend going back and watching it. Secondly, like I said, this theory has been regaining popularity recently. I've seen several popular Game of Thrones YouTubers addressing it on their channel, and there are some supposed plot leaks released by Fire and Blood which claim that Season 8 is going to tell us Gendry is Cersei's son, and I just gotta be honest with you, I don't believe this theory. I know it's very popular, and in some aspects I do think it could be cool if we had this reveal. I just don't think it really makes sense in the overall story, and today I want to break it down for you guys, examine the evidence for and against, and tell you why I personally don't subscribe to this theory. So first I want to address what it is that makes a lot of people believe in this theory. In Game of Thrones, there is a scene in Season 1 where Cersei talks to Catelyn Stark about her firstborn child. This was a son that was fathered by her husband, Robert Baratheon, who Cersei describes as a little black-haired beauty. This son died of a fever when he was very, very young, and Cersei says she never went to visit his crypt. However, a lot of people find this suspicious that Cersei, who loves her children so dearly, would never go to visit her son's crypt.
Handsome one, isn't he? I lost my first boy. Little black-haired beauty. He was a fighter too. Tried to beat the fever that took him. Forgive me. It's the last thing you need to hear right now.
I never knew.
It was years ago. Robert was crazed, beat his hands bloody on the wall. All the things men do to show you how much they care. The boy looked just like him. Such a little thing. Bird without feathers. They came to take his body away. And Robert held me. I screamed and I battled, but he held me. That little bundle. They took him away and I never saw him again. Never visited the crypt. Never.
We know that Cersei was not lying in this scene because later she and Robert have a conversation alone where they discuss their black-haired son, so she was definitely telling the truth to Catelyn in this scene. A lot of people find it suspicious that Cersei never visited her son's crypt, so a theory developed that her son did not actually die and that the body buried in that crypt belongs to some sort of peasant child that Cersei switched out for her living baby. This is feasible because in the A Song of Ice and Fire book series there are other known baby switches, so Cersei could have possibly gotten away with this. And this caused people to suspect that perhaps Gendry is Cersei's biological child. Now, we know very little about Gendry's mother. All we know is from the conversation that he had with Ned Stark in Season 1 when Ned met him.
When Lord Arryn came to visit you, what would you talk about?
Just ask me questions is all, my lord.
What kind of questions?
About my work, first. If I was being treated well, if I liked it here. Then he started asking me about my mother.
Your mother?
Who she was, what she looked like.
What did you tell him?
She died when I was little. She had yellow hair, she'd sing to me sometimes.
So from this scene, we learned that Gendry's mother was blonde, she used to sing to him, and she was a tavern wench. While I can't attest to Cersei being a singer, and we've never seen her sing on the TV show, we do know that she is definitely blonde. And in the books, it is mentioned that Cersei used to disguise herself as a tavern wench in order to have secret rendezvous with her twin Jaime. So, people who believe this Gendry is Cersei's son theory think that Cersei may have disguised herself to sneak out and visit the child that she gave up at birth. Now to backtrack for a second about this whole possibility that Cersei may have given birth to a living child fathered by Robert and then switched him out with a peasant child that was already dead. Now, this could potentially be true because Cersei says that when she gave birth, Robert was never with her, and that every time she gave birth, he would go out on a hunting trip. So this switch could have possibly happened without his knowledge if there really was a switch. So people who believe in this theory say that it goes a little bit like this. Cersei hated Robert and didn't want to actually have his child because she didn't want a child fathered by Robert to end up on the Iron Throne. However, since Cersei does love her children, she did not want to kill this baby, and after giving birth to it, with Jaime's help, she swapped it out for a peasant child and sent her baby, Gendry, off to be an armorer's apprentice. Then they say that perhaps Jaime was the mysterious man who paid Gendry's apprentice fee because we know some unknown person was the one who set him up with Tobo Mott. And somebody did get Tobo Mott to send Gendry off into the Watch when Joffrey was trying to kill all of Robert's bastards, meaning somebody wanted to save his life, and the TV show never revealed who this person was. So perhaps Cersei has been secretly protecting her biological son Gendry all these years. This is where my problems with the theory start to come in. Now, I am pretty sure that Jaime was not the one who paid Gendry's apprentice fee, because in the A Song of Ice and Fire book series, it is heavily implied that Varys is actually the one who is looking out for Gendry. There is a scene in A Clash of Kings where Varys is talking with Tyrion about Robert's bastards being murdered, and he says this: "There was another bastard, a boy, older. I took steps to see him removed from harm's way." Varys explains that he didn't do anything to protect Bara, the baby that Robert had fathered with a prostitute, because he didn't think that anyone would ever harm an infant, whereas someone like Gendry he knew could potentially pose a threat and he didn't want to see him harmed. This heavily implies that Varys is the one who paid Gendry's apprentice fee after finding out about his existence, and that he is the one who alerted Tobo Mott, which caused Gendry to be sent to join the Watch. While it is not confirmed exactly why Varys did this, I'm assuming that Varys wanted to have some of Robert's bastards in his back pocket in case he ever needed to prove that Cersei had been committing incest with Jaime and that her children, Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen, were all products of her relationship with Jaime. I can't prove that because it is never explicitly stated, to my knowledge, why Varys was looking out for Gendry, but I think that's a reasonable assumption to make. Considering in the book series it is established that Varys has always been fighting for House Targaryen, I don't think he ever intended to put Gendry on the Iron Throne. I think he just wanted to know where Gendry was in case he needed to displace Cersei. Really, I think the books are the reason that I don't believe this theory, because there is evidence in the books that contradicts this theory. I think in the show you can make a good case for Gendry being Cersei's son, but I don't think they would have such a big change from the book series, and it's just, in my opinion, not at all possible that Gendry is Cersei's son in the books. One reason I don't think that Gendry could be Cersei's son in the books is because this story about her black-haired beauty isn't in the books. That was solely created for the TV show to make Cersei come across as more sympathetic. In the books, it is said that she got pregnant by Robert one time. However, she could not stand the thought of having his child, and she got Jaime to find a woman to cleanse her, basically making her have an abortion. So if there was never a pregnancy where she carried Robert's child, how could she have given birth to Gendry secretly and then faked his death? There was no pregnancy where she could have carried a Baratheon child for 9 months. I also just think that if Cersei was going to go as far as to carry a child to term and then give birth to him, she wouldn't want to give that child away. If she didn't want to have Robert's child, she would just get an abortion like she did in the books. Why would she continue to carry the pregnancy if she had absolutely no intentions of keeping the baby? I think if she went as far as to give birth to Gendry, then she would have wanted to keep him, because she says that she loves her children and that a mother has to love her children. In her conversation with Sansa, she says even if you don't love a man, you can still love his children. Additionally, whereas in the books, Cersei pretty much hates Robert from the moment that he whispers Lyanna's name on their wedding night, in the TV show she says that she loved him for quite a while afterwards, even after they lost their first son. So I don't think the motivation is really there in the TV show canon, because she says she was still in love with Robert at that time when she would have given birth to her black-haired son.
I felt something for you once, you know.
I know.
Even after we lost our first boy. For quite a while, actually.
Another thing about this theory that doesn't make sense to me is that Gendry has memories of his mother. So, if Cersei gave birth to Gendry and then gave him away, why would she, for years, disguise herself as a tavern wench in order to visit him, to sing to him, to let him know her as his mother, and then one day decide she was going to fake her death and not see him anymore? Either she wants the child or she doesn't. Why would she go visit him and introduce herself as his mother, let him know her as his mother if she didn't want him? Either she wants the baby or she doesn't, and the logic here just doesn't seem to make any sense to me. Also, while I was reading A Storm of Swords, there is a quote Gendry gives about his mother. While it doesn't tell us a whole lot about her, it was interesting to me, and I think it kind of contradicts with this Cersei is Gendry's mother theory. So the quote is, "I don't even know my father's name. Some smelly drunk, I'd wager. Like the others my mother dragged home from the alehouse. Whenever she got mad at me, she'd say, if your father was here, he'd beat you bloody." What this quote tells us is that on multiple occasions when he was a child, Gendry witnessed his mother bringing home drunken men to have one-night stands with. And if his mother was really Cersei, I don't know why she would be doing this. Yeah, I guess you could say, oh, maybe she was hooking up with Jaime, but then wouldn't Gendry notice that it was the same man all the time? And why would Jaime be drunk? Why would he think that his mother was bringing them home from the alehouse? It doesn't really make sense. Also, to me, personally, this threat his mother gave him saying his biological father would beat him bloody just doesn't really seem like something Cersei would say to her children. I don't like Cersei, but she does love her kids and is a good mother to them. Better in the TV show than she is in the books, I think, because in the books she really spoils Joffrey and caters to his every whim, which also shows that even though in the show she does slap Joffrey that one time, in the books she never does anything violent towards any of her children, and it just doesn't ring true to me as something she would say. I also want to bring up with this theory the prophecy that a young Cersei received from Maggie the Frog.
Will the king and I have children?
The king will have 20 children. And you will have 3.
That doesn't make sense.
Gold will be their crowns. Gold. Their shrouds.
The show already kind of contradicted this prophecy by introducing this black-haired son that Cersei gave birth to and that died from a fever, and she's now pregnant by Jaime again. However, I'm assuming that these children don't count in the prophecy because one of them died very shortly after birth. She never got the opportunity to raise that child, and I am pretty sure that the child she is currently pregnant with in season 7 is not going to live to be born. There was a potential spoiler that a scene of her miscarrying was originally meant to be included in season 7 but was cut and will probably appear in season 8. So those 3 children in the prophecy are Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen. If Gendry was really her son, I don't think he would fit into this prophecy. I guess maybe you could make an argument that Gendry isn't included in this prophecy because Cersei didn't raise him, she gave him up. But I'm not convinced on that. I just think that Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen are the only children. Finally, I just don't really get what purpose Gendry being Cersei and Robert's son would serve in the overall story. I like Gendry, but I think the fandom makes him out to be a lot more important than he actually is. Yes, I think he's going to have a purpose in the endgame because D&D wouldn't have brought him back in season 7 if he didn't. But if Gendry was Cersei and Robert's true-born son, that would make him the rightful ruler of Westeros, and I just don't buy that we've gone through this entire show for Gendry to sit on the Iron Throne. I firmly believe that it will be Jon and or Daenerys there in the end. So at this point, what could this reveal serve? I don't think it's in Gendry's future to ever become king, and I don't think there is a purpose to this reveal. I honestly believe that Gendry's role in the endgame is to help make dragonglass weapons. Perhaps he could even forge a dragonglass suit of armor for Jon. There is a scene in A Dance of Dragons where Jon has a dream in which he is wearing armor made of black ice and carrying a burning sword, possibly indicating that he could be Azor Ahai reborn and be wearing this dragonglass armor that Gendry could potentially make for him. I also think there is a great chance, at the very least in the TV show canon, that Gendry will be legitimized, as he is the last Baratheon, and if they need a new Lord of Storm's End, Gendry is a good candidate. In the books, perhaps Edric Storm could actually end up being Lord of Storm's End, not Gendry, since his mother was Highborn, but since Edric Storm doesn't exist in the TV show, I'm very confident that Gendry will become the legitimized Baratheon in the TV show. I also think that Gendry being legitimized and refounding House Baratheon could have an interesting parallel to A Song of Ice and Fire lore, as the founder of House Baratheon, Orys Baratheon, was rumored to be the bastard half-brother of King Aegon the Conqueror, so it would be a really interesting parallel if House Baratheon was founded by a bastard and then refounded by another bastard, that bastard being Gendry. I also think there is a chance that Gendry could marry Arya. However, I'm not going to go into that because I already have a video about that if you want to go watch it. I've talked about this before. There's no need to repeat it. So if you want to go watch that video, it's linked down in the description below and you can hear my reasons for why I think that. Basically, I think there are plenty of things that Gendry can do in the endgame, and none of them relate to him being Cersei's secret son. At this point, I think another major parentage reveal has really no major effect on the endgame and is just not necessary. So guys, those are my thoughts on the theory that Gendry is secretly Cersei's son. Do you still believe in this theory, and is there a reason why that I did not mention in this video that you think proves Gendry is Cersei's secret son? Let me know in the comments. If there are any reasons why he could not be her son that I forgot, you can leave that in the comments as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!